So, hello everybody. This is Geneva and Orlando calling you today on this afternoon, this early morning, afternoon here in Geneva. And I am welcoming Brian Horvath. Hey Brian, how are
Hey,
you?
everybody. Oh, I'm great. Daniel, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you again, my friend.
Thanks. It's always such a pleasure. And it was my birthday recently, and I thought I would love to have an interview. And the person I wished for was you. And so you said, "Hey, let's do it." I didn't ask you because
Uh,
of the birthday, but hey, it's just something that I already thought when we had our first interview. And what was it, July? About LinkedIn, and I thought, wow, there is much more to go about with you. And today we're talking about purpose and how to find it, the purpose, how to live it and how to love it. So, and here are all the questions. It's actually, I don't have to do anything today as an interviewer. I can just ask you these questions. It's so easy, right?
I felt so. Thank you for doing it. I mean, you set me up to knock them down. So
Hey,
thanks.
Brian, that's, I think, why am I thinking this subject is so interesting and so, well, relevant for what we are doing? First, we are going live. And, people see everything what we are doing when we are live. And I had this live 2 weeks, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, let's say 3 weeks ago, about what does it take to do a really smashing live video, live stream. And so the magic ingredient is indeed purpose, because if you're not shining for what you are doing, if you're not on fire, if you don't have a mission, whatever, how you can call it, like your magic goal, your purpose is just one word for it. Yeah, so people will not be in, so people will not buy from you, people will not connect with you, I would say. And so this is why I think it's so interesting that you connect with, or that you combine this topic as well. And
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. You're right. It's the juice, it's the gas in the tank, it's the battery in the car, or whatever wherever you put in your car nowadays. But it's what gets you going. It's what keeps you going. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's definitely better to have it than not, right?
yeah, and you know what, there is a question before I'm starting with, like, basically it's your book title, like how to find your purpose, how to live it, how to love it. You just, well, released a book, an ebook about this, and it's an audio book as well. But like, I am challenging you now with what probably 99% of people are, that are seeing this right now, are thinking, okay, purpose, what does it really have to do with my life? Get real, folks. The bills have to be paid, so it's not always easy in life. You have to work hard, so it's the, you know what, you cannot always choose. Life is not, you cannot wish for everything. So what's this purpose about? So what does it really give me to pay my bills? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think really it's you at least got to know it. I mean, to go on in life just kind of kicking the tires, kicking the can down the street, or trying to figure it out without really figuring it out, meaning giving it a shot, then there's really no point in living. I mean, again, like you said, the purpose that we have is not like unwrappable like on the first day. Like we don't just get it and say, "This is your purpose. Go on and have a great time." No, it comes in waves. It comes over time. And it's kind of like if you talk about careers, right? So for a lot of folks, people are chasing a career, or a lot of folks want this big corner office overlooking some great vista or whatnot. In this case, is and also our finances, people want the right amount of money in the bank account. Well, what is the right amount of money? Well, who's to say? I mean, it's not an absolute answer. It's relative to each individual and whatnot. But so if we keep chasing those things and we keep thinking about those are the things that identify us as being on purpose or fulfill our purpose, then we're going to be hitting our head off the wall, like this wall behind me. You're going to be getting bloodied and bruised and pretty frustrated with life. And, I think that's a big cause for a lot of mental health challenges today where folks are kind of like, what am I here for? But instead of finances and careers like I used to chase as being, I thought, the purpose in life, they are actually tools to help us accomplish our life purpose, right? And so, what is life purpose? Well, life purpose is, I think the answer is, why am I here? I am here because my purpose is to blank. And the problem is for a lot of folks, as it was for me many years, the blank stays, well, blank. And we want to help fill those blanks and fill those gaps in. But things can change. It's not always like, again, one size fits all. It's not absolute, all or nothing. It's over time. And I think we're going to talk about that today, too. So,
Yeah, of course, we are just in it. So, what would you say? Like, what are your favorite tools that you use, maybe, and also along your journey finding your purpose? And actually, did you find your purpose? Do you think there's this one purpose, or are you still on the search, or how would you define it with
yeah, I
your
think I
situation?
really, it's a great question. I finally have, after many bumps and bruises, and never underestimate experiences is one of the parts of the equation to knowing, living, and loving your purpose, or finding, living, and loving your purpose is experiences, which means you actually have to get out of bed in the morning and take a step and have an experience, right? Whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you work or you don't, no matter your status in life, it's taking a step. And those experiences help us to identify our purpose for sure. For many years, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was, like I said a bit ago, to chase the dollar or to climb the corporate ladder or to be successful or well known in my community. But I come to find is that fame or that moment were mostly fleeting because underneath that was not a solid foundation, but kind of a slippery slope or sinking sand because I really just wasn't feeling this isn't really me. And I come to find out after many mistakes, like I said, bumps and bruises, hitting the walls, and finally owning up to the fact that I'm not perfect and don't have to be, that my purpose is to help people know, live, and love their purpose, and specifically the purpose for their career and finances. And I do that through a variety of ways: courses, coaching, speaking, consulting, and things like that, where I'm real, where I'm transparent, authentic, and encouraging, and also challenging as well to not let people stay, as I did for so long, in the same place where the address is called stuck. And when you don't know your purpose, you surely can't live it, because how would you know if you're living it if you don't know it? I believe when you know it and are living it, you're going to love it, because that's why you're made. It's how you're made. It's what you're here for.
Is actually this purpose, or what would you say, is this something that you find on your own? Was this something that people told you, okay, hey, Brian, you should do this, you should help people to live a more meaningful life with their finances? Or was this something that, yeah, basically you was always in you and you never really heard it? How would you describe it for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great point. So if I could come up with like some kind of formula or equation, I would say it's a blend of, experiences. It's a blend of what you feel in your conscience or subconscious. Or I think ultimately I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christ follower, and I believe it's what comes from God, what He has purposed you or made us to do. And I think one of the scriptures I love, it's kind of my life scripture, or message, or maybe someone might call it a mantra, or words to live by, is that I'm God's masterpiece. That we all are God's masterpiece, created for good works that Christ prepared in advance for us, that we would walk in them. And so right there, knowing that I'm unique, because if I'm a masterpiece, I'm not a one and done. I'm a one of a kind. And that's helpful, especially, after mistakes that I've made and failures I've had and things like that. So it's what I call truth, and I base my truth on God's word. And I know, that's my belief system. And then also experiences I had where I felt really good about what just happened there, or I didn't feel so good, or you know what, these are the kind of people that lift me up. I need to be around them more. So now I have people speaking into me that are celebrating the experiences that I also validate in my heart, and what I believe what God says that are good things to do. And then you want to surround yourself around more of those kinds of people. For so many years of my life, I surrounded myself around people that didn't lift me up, that didn't build me up, that didn't have the background of, the right background to even be a positive or successful themselves. And I was hanging out with those folks, and they were pulling me down. And ultimately, honestly, Daniel, I was pulling them down too, because I was kind of just wherever the wind blows, right? But really, that was so, as I learned later in life, the antithesis of my personality. And so that leads me to my next thing. what do assessments say, or maybe studies or fields of study about personalities, or enneagrams, disc personalities, Myers Briggs, Berkman, all those kinds of studies that have done a lot of research that help you understand a little bit more about yourself, but not just about yourself, but how you relate to others. And that's why I love disc. So I'm actually in the process of becoming a
Okay.
certified disc trainer
That's
and
the
stuff like that
process
too. So
disk, right?
yeah, those help.
DISC. What is it about, this disk process?
I love DISC. It's D stands for dominant, I is interactive, S is like steady or stable, and C is more like cautious. And we're a blend of all those kinds of things. Naturally, we're those things in a natural environment, but then there's times where we change or we modify or we adapt in other environments, like a work environment, a church environment, an interview environment, a leadership environment, a work environment, whatever the case may be. And it's really neat to do some digging into that. To most of the time, it's going to validate you, affirm you, and encourage you to go boldly in the direction of your purpose. So you have experiences, things where you've won or lost. You have people, the people that lift you up, the people that don't, and you have assessments and things like that from years and years of folks that have been studying these kinds of things. And then you also have, depending on where you get your truth from, if you're like me, then you get it on God's word and what he says about you, that you're not going to be perfect, you're going to make mistakes, but you can walk in grace and peace knowing that you're getting up every day and living a life that is of purpose. So those are some of the ways in the formula to help you know your purpose.
So we go into this next stage, how to live your purpose. And
Yeah.
yeah, you were already saying, okay, these are instruments now before how to find the purpose, and there are many ways. Of course, there are also outside, inputs basically that might bring you, and also your experience along the way. Yeah, if you have like that, then if you want to live your purpose, I guess a lot of people would say or think even, yes, of course, I would like to be a singer. I would like to, whatever, drive, I don't know, racing cars all day long. This would be my purpose, but I can't. So what would you tell them? Is there a way? Is there a middle way? So do you have to sort of leave everything in your job and sort of go for like, whatever, like your dream? Or what would you say? Because you obviously also give a lot of consulting to people that are looking to enhance their profile on LinkedIn as well. But what's the right approach in this regard?
Yeah, and I think the right approach is just getting started first and foremost. There are so many ways that we can instantly say no. And before we know it, that's where we live our life. It's always in a no state of mind as opposed to giving things a shot, giving things a try. You mentioned about being a singer. I'll tie onto that and say, I'm 5 foot short. I'm not going to be a basketball player. It's just not my speed, and it's not what I'm good at. Now I can get in people's way and being good in defense, but I'm not going to be all around a great player that's going to make the team, kind of thing. That was evident by my 7th grade experience trying basketball. But all in all, man, I think it's one of those things where you have to give things a try. You have to give things a shot, and if it's maybe not that top spot, let's say it's a singer per se. Maybe you could be a sound engineer. Maybe you could be, instead of on the basketball court per se, you could be a coach. Maybe you know a lot about the game strategy. You just don't necessarily going to be the one to put the ball in the hoop. There are other ways to come alongside those people that have certain skills. And that's where we talk about living out our purpose, is seeking to serve others that help elevate them to what their purpose is. And because I believe we're all knitted and connected together, you and I would not be doing this interview or this conversation if we didn't believe we can help one another and help those we both serve. So I think that's living it out, is having that mindset, that attitude of seeking to serve. And just because you can't be the top guy or gal, you can come alongside those people and still be a part of that great, great journey of helping someone get to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. And now let the last part of your book title, How to Love Your Purpose, isn't this natural? Like, isn't this automatic? Or is it what do you mean with that?
Yeah, I would even say, interject before we get there. There's this big rub, this big like gap. There could be a big gap. It's called a resistance. And the resistance is what, either our limiting beliefs of our mind, what others have said in our lives to us that aren't true, or just a bad attitude or just a false sense of reality can come alongside of us instantly as soon as we step up to do something good and go, and they want to put a hand in your face and go, nope, not you, not today, not this way, this isn't for you. And the question is, maybe that's true, but a lot of times, most of the times, it's not. And there's things in our way. The moment we want to step and do something excellent or do something to serve someone or help somebody, it's called the resistance. And I learned it from a book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. You and I are both content creators. We help people out in this kind of space, and there's always this like noise or this voice in our ear going, nah, you can't do that. And the moment we dismiss it, it comes back with more voices. That's the thing. It doesn't just go away. It comes back even with more. But when it starts coming back with more, man, you're in the right purpose lane. You're driving the car on the right way. And in the United States, we drive it on the right-hand side. So whoever's out there listening in the UK, that's the way to do it. I'm just kidding. But and all that to say, so again, when you know your purpose, and a lot of times that comes from journaling as well. I didn't mention that earlier. I'm a big journaler. I have some tools to help people journal, just get things out of their mind, in their heart, onto paper, help them flesh it out and to share with others. Then you start living it out, walking it out with the attitude of seeking to serve, and then I believe you're going to love it. Now, one quick illustration I could share about that is a shovel and a hammer. A shovel has a purpose, and a hammer has a purpose. We know a hammer is to drive nails or to pull them out, right? A shovel is to dig a hole, right? Okay. If a shovel is used to hammer a nail, can it be done? Yes. Could there be a lot of collateral damage? Absolutely. Can there be some failure? Yes. Can you hurt yourself? Sure. That's because it's not the right purpose for that tool or that instrument. The same thing goes with a hammer. It could dig a hole, but it's going to be very slow, and it's not going to be too pretty. But when they're used for their purposes, when the shovel digs the hole and the hammer hammers the nail, then we're loving it, because that's how we're made. That's how we're gifted. That's what we're here for. That's about loving it. There's something that people that you attract, there's success that you experience, there's money that comes your way, there's opportunities that come your way when you're loving your purpose, because it shows. You're not walking like this. You're walking head up, and you're looking at the smile, and you're looking to serve people. And it doesn't mean every day is going to be roses, right? But sometimes, and most times, begrudgingly, we learn more in the losses than we do in the victories. And that's a part of the life journey and the purpose journey and loving your purpose.
Yeah, it's so wisely what you have said, and what I could contribute is that it's definitely like in these times where we are, where of course it gets more specialized. Everybody has to have like peak performance and like to be super performant. It is also not in a way. Is it an advantage like to have your purpose, or is it a necessity? Can't you even like let it go? So do you have to have it, or can you also survive like this in these days?
Well, that's a great question, Daniel. I think because if I would have thought I had to have it, I would never got started. Right. And that is a challenge with my personality. Like another assessment I was going to say earlier too is Strength Finders, or Clifton Strengths is what it's called today by Gallup. And one of my strengths is futuristic. And that futuristic means I can see what I think, my preferred future. But then I have my impatience part of my personality, my dominant side of my personality that wants it today. Well, the future isn't today. The present is today. But if I'm futuristic, I'm already thinking about what's next. Well, what about today? And so that can be a challenge for folks like me that are thinking they have to have it all figured out before they even get started. And that's something is one of those limiting beliefs, the resistance that thinks you have to have it all figured out before you even take that first step. And we want to dismiss that right now. So if that's you and you're listening, just crush that. Just put it aside. Let's just take the first step, and email Daniel that you did, because he'll be encouraged that
absolutely
that you did that and be celebrated.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, absolutely. And Annelie is watching us too. She loves our talk. Thanks for spending time with us, Annelie. And so what you have just said, these resistant blocks, these beliefs that are I think the ones that are a prerequisite to like to work a little bit, to dig a little bit, because sometimes there might even be this belief that, okay, I'm not a good singer, I'm not creative, I'm not a salesperson, these things, because you had these experiences that, or others that were telling you, okay, so you're definitely not good for this or that, that shape your belief system. But you know what? I think it's this little voice inside of you, or this, yeah, this little
Yep.
feeling, this little intuition that we just have to listen to. And maybe these times of, like, sometimes when it gets a little bit, yeah, less noisy and a little bit more time, these are good times to think about it. Because I just would say it started with me like thinking, really, I'm not a good speaker. I had to rephrase a poem on Christmas, and it was, I think, well, yeah, it was like doing that in front of the class and the parents, and sort of I just didn't get it out. So I just had this blackout, and I was thinking, oh my, I will never do this. But on the other
Mm.
hand, I would say it never let me sort of, well, it never let me manipulate myself, because I always wanted to do it. And so now here we are. I'm interviewing you. What a nice thing. And certainly enjoying it and loving it. But there's also this thing about the strength finder that you said, and the strength that sometimes, of course, it's not the mere capacity, the mere talent that is defining at the end your where you're landing. Where if you are, who knows if Steve Jobs was the best creative mind, but there was certainly something that brought him where he was. Maybe it was the purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting you said that. What came to my mind when you were talking about just the gifts by themselves, right? Like, so the gifts under a Christmas tree or, at Hanukkah time that it is today, and, whatever the case may be, unopened, it's just a box, man.
Mm.
And the same thing goes, I think, about my mouse that's sitting in here.
Mm.
If I don't have batteries in this mouse, I'm not navigating the screen like I would.
Mm.
So the mouse is just, it's not activated. But the batteries are taking the action to make this gifts or the skill or the talent activated. And even beyond that, now there's an outcome. We get to press the right buttons and do the right thing, send the email, whatever the case may be. And that's what you have to remember, is that there, and I do too, that these things go together. And just like this, people, we need each other in this time of COVID still and all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
I believe the resistance is, in my beliefs, is, again, as a Christian, is that it's the enemy, it's Satan that wants to separate people, because when we're isolated, we start
Mm.
kind of
Yeah.
just weakening. But
And
we're
maybe the
meant to be together,
oh, sorry.
and
Yeah.
we
So
need each
that.
other. Same thing with the battery and the mouse, and then getting it done. There's multiple things that go together to make all this work. And so we have to overcome the resistance by remembering that on the other side of knowing and living is loving, but you have to take those active steps forward
Yeah. And
and getting help along the way. You're helping people, I'm helping people, and it's amazing how that all works together. So,
yeah, and just thinking about the resistance, or talking about the resistance, it's also something, if you have a purpose, like later on, you will really welcome it, and you will say thank you for this other sort of, like, okay, in the present moment, it's probably not a nice and a pleasant thing, but later on, this could be the resistance that really was the resistance that you had to overcome to go to get where you wanted to go. And yeah, just here, like this friendly user here, who is definitely a user speaking in German. He says, I'm
I
always
love
so
it.
positive, thanks so much. Brian as well. So this was why I immediately thought he's such a great conversation partner to get the synergies out there in the live universe here, in wherever you're watching us right now. Um, I I think it's, of course, to then being able to overcome, and yeah, maybe your fear as well, where you
Ugh.
can then see, well, there is this, yeah, treasure behind. Of course, that's not that easy, but that's also maybe one of our life's challenges, to then say, well, somebody always told me this or that. I always felt it in a different way. In your words, I hear to the intuition to God, and followed it, and here we are today. And in a way, it's not. I would even say, because I started with all these, well, society talk about like you have to work hard, and so don't, you know what, you cannot always have a nice life or something like that. Of course, I think people who have a purpose sometimes don't think about that so much, but still treasure this little voice, maybe, that if you are still looking for your purpose and if you're still having something that is really interesting you, don't cut it off, because it will come back. And it is something that will be probably the ultimate. You have been using the battery metaphor. So maybe it will be not even your battery, it will be your power plant in life that gives you this unlimited potential, right?
Yeah, I would think there's a time back. Oh my gosh, man, coming alongside of it now. It's in 2006. I was in the wine and spirits industry, and I sold German wines as well. And so, just to let you know.
Okay.
And I was coming home from a New Year's Eve party, and by the way, I was very successful. What I thought was success at that time, I was very successful in my wine business. And I was coming home from a New Year's Eve party in December of 2006, and just crying, just bawling, and really distraught because I was so tired of life as I was living it that year and the years prior. And I was like, and looking forward to 2007, going, what's the point? I mean, I can't seem to escape myself. I can't seem to feel better about where I'm going, even though I'm successful, even though I'm making, six figures. For me, that was successful at the age of 29 or 28, whatever I was then. And I decided to try to take my own life. I was so distraught and not hitting the mark on purpose, on my purpose in my life, at least what I thought was. And I kept doing the things I didn't want to do anymore, but I kept doing them even though I was hearing, don't do those things. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to turn. And so, but the next day, January 1st, 2007, I woke up to these birds chirping and this bright sunshine pouring into the room. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't take my own life. This is amazing. Like, okay, that was a rough night. And something clicked. And I really believe, again, back to my testimony of faith, that God pulled me out, by the back of my neck, like a bear cub would be taken by his mama bear, and said, I'm done with you and the way you've been living. This is something I have different for you, new for you. You just don't seem to get it, boy. Come here. I'm gonna, yeah. And but he did it lovingly. And ever since then, my life has been entirely changed. And I wouldn't have said that 2 days later, but now how many years later? 15, 16 years later? That was a moment. That was the epiphany. That was the 180 in my life that completely changed everything. And I didn't have kids then. I wasn't married then. I was all about me, and still struggle with that, by the way. But that just turned my life around. And now I have this beautiful family.
Yes. Man,
And that
that's
wouldn't
really
have come
strong.
true if I didn't follow God then and finally get put in a place out of the pit and actually start taking steps in the right direction. I found a church. I found better friends. I started being a better friend. I started being a better son and whatever, and a brother, and just kept on climbing, trying, and that years later prompted a book. So just like you, maybe tongue-tied in front of a class on a Christmas poem, we didn't let that stop us. God didn't even let that stop us. And here we are today helping people, still making mistakes, but giving a run for our money on purpose. And we're going after it and trying every day. You and I would not have met had we not tried to improve ourselves in our purpose. Am I right? So
Yeah.
excited about where this is going this year in 2022.
Yeah. And that's actually the magic word, 2022. And you also said you're a futuristic person who always thinks on the next steps. Well done, because you have this thing here. It is about the ultimate LinkedIn profile. And this here comes in your expertise, being a LinkedIn coach and success coach and financial coach, helping people to, yeah, how can we say this? Like to get their purpose and also present it through LinkedIn, and also be able to get the better match for their skills and talents, maybe.
Absolutely. So what I say is like if you were to do this thing in a perfect world, right, and you had this purpose and this purpose came down from heaven, or you were handed this gold certificate like Willy Wonka and says, here's your golden ticket and your purpose is on it, then you would say, all right, well, great. So now I got this tool called LinkedIn, and in the marketplace, how do I take my purpose and showcase it? How do I add value? How do I seek to serve those who need most what Brian or Daniel, whoever's listening, does best? And now I can explain that on LinkedIn in such a way so that I can take advantage of all the technology that's out there, all the keywords, all the algorithms, all the network that's being built. Companies have problems, people have problems, we all do. That's that life journey. We all have problems, right? Let's be the solution. But too many folks sit on LinkedIn, which is the largest professional network in the world, 740 million plus people on this sucker. Now, not every day, but 95% of recruiters use LinkedIn almost every day, definitely weekly. Are you in the game? Are you set up for success? Are you confident? Are you clear? Are you communicating? And it's just not that hard, but yet we all get stuck on something. We all need a coach. I need a coach for other things, but I get to be a coach and a consultant for folks with LinkedIn and really help maximize the opportunity that exists there.
All right. And so it's
A
there
little passionate
for,
about it.
yeah. Sorry?
I'm a little passionate about it.
Oh, absolutely. Go for it. It's for your purpose and passion that belongs together.
Yeah.
And if you're passionate about it, you're also willing to suffer a little bit about it. This is what I learned. But here, this course, 22nd of February 22. So you're probably not going to forget it now. This is about creating the content and the copy for LinkedIn that you're doing a smashing presentation, that also you are helping people to understand the algorithm about LinkedIn, how to really get out and have a successful posting, to expanding your network. I would also say get the relevant views, not only views, but the people who really want
Yes.
should see you because they are recruiters, they are potential clients, and to increase the meaningful conversations. And at the end, I love that you said like having fun. Yeah, because that's also about it. You know, what is it like? It's like doing the life that we're doing right now. So if we're not having fun, nobody's watching it. So
Exactly.
that's it. So this is the QR code that everybody could scan in. If you're seeing this on the desktop, just
Let's
scan
test
it
that.
in, or type in the URL. And we will also put this in the comments of this of the restream, or how do you say this? It's the replay.
It works. Nice job on the QR
Oh,
code. My friend.
good. I'm so happy. Yeah, and you know what, you guys, we did this in a matter of seconds. So how we do it, we are doing this with Ecamm Live. If you're interested about it, I'm happy to help you as well. This is something, you know what, I would say people don't want to waste their time. We're doing this here on a Friday afternoon, on a Friday morning, of course. This was, I think, such a heavy and relevant half hour with my friend Brian, and I'm so happy that we had the opportunity. Of course, it requires a little bit of preparation, but if you are doing this, if you're investing this work, you can really enjoy the moment, I always say the best life ever, because it's every live video, every live stream that you're doing is the best life, because it's the most recent. Nobody's caring about things from whatever 3 months ago. But you know what?
Exactly.
I would say it's also it's the technology, certainly, but it's also the ingredients. And here, like a conversation partner like Brian is just like a dream for me. It's so great. So I would really love to continue our conversations maybe in 2022 if there is something. Hopefully, if you're not booked out because of your many courses that you're giving, I would love to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, Daniel. I just say, well, job well done, man. You're an encourager, you're an inspiration, and it's great to have your smiling face being out here on the web, man. There's a lot of voices out here that want to bring people down. but yours one that's about raising up people, lifting up people, and it's a real blessing, brother. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Hey, and Brian, wishing you really, really all the best now for December. It's still a month ahead. You know what? 30, no, let's say 27 days to make your, to give your year an extra squeeze here. And just if you're interested in looking at this conversation, if you have just seen it like now and you have missed it, there will be a replay here. It's on our YouTube channels, because today, I have not said this, we have actually pooled our channels. This live stream is streamed live on Brian's channels and on my channels. I'm quite proud of that, because I think we are the first ones who have been taking advantage of this new feature that is out there. So if you have seen it, if you're going to see it, you're invited to our YouTube channels for the replay. This is the QR code to my YouTube channel. I'm looking forward to your visit and maybe to your subscription, hopefully. And also, of course, Brian has his own channel on YouTube as well. Here's the QR code from Brian. Anything else that we need to add to before we leave people into their well-deserved weekend on the purpose?
Yeah, I would say as an action item, what's something this weekend that you've been thinking about doing, you just haven't done it because there's some form of resistance? You got, let's see, 48, 72 hours, almost less than that, but get it done. Try it. It doesn't mean you'll get it all done, but you'll make a step towards getting it done. And I think for a lot of us, we get wrapped up in all the steps. Let's take the first step. And if you have done that, email Daniel or myself and let us know that you did, because you know what? You deserve to be celebrated. We all need to encourage each other. So take that first step this weekend.
Super cool. Brian, thanks so much. Wishing you a great weekend and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, you got it. Thank you, brother.
Bye. And thanks everybody. So this is it for me this week. So we did an interview this week. I will be back next week. If you like with another interesting topic about reaching out with live video and being authentic, really being happy about it, and also showcasing your purpose, because if you have a purpose, this is the best ingredient to really reach out with a powerful live video stream and then to connect with people. And this is just one of the many examples how I would say how you can just generate new clients and new followers. And Brian is already posting me here. Thank you, Brian. And so I will just say bye-bye here from Geneva, and also my regards to Brian and to all the viewers here out there. See you soon. Bye-bye.